So a little bit about how you guys can feel free to interrupt me at any time if you guys have questions, if I'm not being clear, if you can't hear me. I guess you can also post questions on the chat option here at the bottom. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess you can type in your questions. Please. Okay, deal? All right, so you guys are all here today to learn how to ask for a letter of recommendation. So my name is Juan Magana. I'm a first-year intern at Duke University, internal medicine. I went to UC Berkeley. I graduated in 2007. I went to the University of Washington in Seattle, where I got my MD and my MHA degrees before going to residency. So I'm glad you guys are all part of eMentor. It's an amazing kind of setup, amazing program. Nobody does it alone without mentorship, and using this kind of, leveraging digital technology to facilitate mentorship is amazing. And I'm glad that Dr. Salamantes has worked really hard to make eMentor what it is, and also everybody who's involved in the board. So thank you. All right. So before I begin, I also have to acknowledge Dr. Angulo, who's at UCI right now. I think he's a co-founder of the Health Scholars Program. And also Dr. Roger Liu, who's also now, I think, part of the team of the Health Scholars Program, and a lot of other mentors that have helped me along the way. Specifically, a lot of the advice that I'm giving you today came from Marco Angulo and Roger Liu. So I'm just paying it forward and giving you advice that I received many years ago, back in 2003, that I use today. And as somebody who's written letters of recommendation, let me tell you that what I'm going to tell you right now really helps a lot, and it's going to help you become a more professional student seeking support from your mentors. Okay. So the goal of this presentation is to empower you with a how-to on how to ask for a letter of recommendation. Okay. So why am I doing this? Well, our community has a huge need, and the percentage of minorities or persons that are in academics right now that are trying to make a difference in minority or underserved communities is really low. So there's definitely a need. That's not to say that there's not a huge army of people right now working towards eliminating health disparities. But what I can tell you is that we need a whole lot more if we're going to make a difference in reducing the disease burden of chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, obesity in our communities. And so our communities that are underserved need for every single applicant out there who's motivated and passionate about working with underserved communities to make it through. And a big part of that pathway is and requires that you get a letter of recommendation support from your mentors and professors. So it's a really vital and crucial step, and my hope is to help you facilitate and navigate that experience and that task. So what can a letter of recommendation do for your personal and career growth? All right, let's find out. So let's start off with summer programs. So everybody can download my presentation, and you should. And this link is the link that you guys should all be writing down, or should all be putting in your favorites. Okay. So why is letter of recommendation in program? So let's stop at Yale and how letters of recommendation are required so that you can participate in summer programs. So the first one is Yale, and I got all these programs from this link here. Okay. So basically, this summer program is focused on career development for people who want to participate in biomedical research. So what are the benefits? Students have numerous opportunities to meet and socialize with current Yale medical students and graduate students. They organize weekly trips for you to enjoy at beaches, cities, scenery in New England. Each student gets a stipend of $4,500, housing at no cost. They live in single rooms in the dorms. Everything from all the travel is fully paid for and reimbursed. Okay. And basically what this program offers is I think it's a 6 or 10 week experience doing biomedical research. And of course, it requires letter of recommendation. Actually, it requires 2 letters of recommendation. So again, this is a great opportunity that you miss out on if you didn't have those letters. So who wants to go to Spain? If you guys haven't heard of the MERP program, you should, and now you have, so there's no excuses, okay? So what does this program offer? So assisting undergraduates from underrepresented populations to participate in U.S. and international faculty collaborative research initiatives that address minority health and health disparities in the United States and globally. Eligibility, you have to be a U.S. citizen, unfortunately, or permanent residence. I don't know how this is impacted by DACA status, so I'm sorry I can't answer that question. But the requirements, undergraduates have 2 years of coursework in biomedical science, have a 3.0 GPA, and have interest in research. The areas, you can go to London, go to Valencia, Spain, or you can go to Mexico, in Querétaro. Benefits, 10 weeks, July to August. You get round-trip airfare, room and board for free, and you get $2,500 to participate in this in research, in biomedical research in these areas. Again, requires letter of recommendation. So now who wants to go to Indonesia? All right. So this is an international integrated undergraduate research program for underrepresented students. You're basically in the Coral Triangle. You're basically scuba diving, and you're doing research in marine biodiversity. And no matter what your career interest, they'll take applicants. Your locations could be Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. So in 2013, you went to Indonesia. You'll be provided with transportation from your home to Bali, at least in 2013. You receive housing at no cost, all expenses paid for, and a 10-week stipend. Look at that. That's what you'll be doing. Pretty cool, huh? SMDP, this goes without saying, an amazing summer program, 6 weeks. You're basically shadowing doctors and you're doing pre-courses in things like organic chemistry, biology, and physics. All housing is mostly at no cost and covered by the program. You'll get $600 stipend, and some programs may pay for your airfare depending on where you are. Right? So, just about every road that you travel in your career and education will need a letter of recommendation. That includes scholarships, internships, summer programs, jobs, graduate school, no matter what graduate school you want to apply to, and professional schools like medical school, GA school, NP school, pharmacy. So again, I hope I'm hammering home the point that letters of recommendation are crucial to your career development. So now let's get to the how-to of asking for a letter of recommendation. Okay. So there's an etiquette. Absolutely, it's very important that you ask for your letter of recommendation in person, okay? In person. Over the phone, over text, over email, just doesn't cut it. You have to do it in person, if possible, if at all possible. The language that you use when you ask your mentor for a letter of recommendation is, would you feel comfortable writing me a strong letter of recommendation for my SMDP application, for my medical school application? The reason why you use this kind of language is because you want to leave it open for them to say yes or no. And also, you want to say the word strong, because if they don't feel comfortable writing you a strong letter of recommendation, then you give them the opportunity to say no. You know, and if you're looking for a strong letter, then you want to make sure you're asking for it. The other thing that you got to ask for is you got to ask at least 1 month in advance. 1 month. At least before the deadline to submit the letter of recommendation. Okay, that's professional courtesy. Now, what if they say no? And so that's one of the questions you might be asking yourself. Number one, there could be lots of reasons why somebody says no, but you have to appreciate it when somebody tells you, "I'm sorry, I can't write you a letter of recommendation." Okay. It's because, frankly, you don't want a terrible letter of recommendation. You don't want a one-liner that says, "I don't know the student," or a letter rec that's not as strong because somebody only has a few hours to work on your letter of recommendation. Okay. And again, there could be lots of reasons. Maybe they don't feel comfortable writing you a strong letter of recommendation. Maybe they don't have the time to dedicate to your letter. And maybe that what you're looking for in a letter of recommendation, they can't really speak about you. For example, if you're asking your biochem professor for a letter of recommendation, and you guys haven't talked about you as a person, but only focused on, say, your academic progress in biochemistry, and you're asking them to write you a letter of recommendation for medical school, then they may not know a lot about your desires to become a doctor or some of your strengths or motivation. You know, if you're just asking them to speak about your biochemistry, then yeah, absolutely. But again, there's lots of reasons for this. Somebody not to like, or not for somebody not to agree to write your letter of recommendation. So don't take it the wrong way if they say no. So what if they say yes? So you want to thank them and ask them if you can come back within a day or two to hand them a packet that's gonna have the details about the application, the requirements, the materials needed that you'll be submitting to the program, to grad school, to scholarship, etc., etc. So now let's talk about the actual business of how this is going to play out. So this is what you'll need. You'll need a folder with your name with your name and date at the front, a name tag, a marker, pen and pencil, 8 pieces of paper, about 8 pieces of paper, a computer, a printer, and an envelope. Okay. So the folder itself, you'll put a name tag. You know those name tags that like you get at conferences that say, hey, my name is so and so. Just put your name tag on the front of the folder. The folder doesn't need to be a fancy one. It just can't be all tore up. It just needs to be presentable. So at the front, you'll put your name on one sticker, and then below that, you'll put the due date. So you'll put due March 5th, or due whenever it's due. Okay. Everything else is basically what you'll need for the content. Okay. You're gonna have at least these things on the right that are going to be inside your folder. So you'll have a table of contents page, a cover letter, transcripts, personal statement, an address stamped envelope if the writer is required to mail in the letter of recommendation. You'll have a printed copy of the mission statement of the program, the requirements, instructions on how to submit the letter of recommendation, and the due date. And again, I cannot stress enough, give them at least 1 month in advance before the letter of recommendation is due. So what's in the table of contents page? Okay, it's basically a table of contents. You're basically gonna list all the things that your letter writer can find inside the folder, because oftentimes, you'll get the folder and there'll be lots of pages in it, but they're not gonna know what's in it and what to expect. So if there's something missing, then they'll know, oh man, I must have misplaced the personal statement because I know it should have been in here. So a table of contents page, it'll just be a page that says exactly that, table of contents. And you'll say page 1 will have cover letter, page 2, transcripts, page 3, personal statements, page 4, envelope, page 5, mission statement, etc., etc. Okay. And the table of contents page should be the first page that your letter writer sees when they open up their folder. Your cover letter is going to be on the opposite side of the folder, and that's the second thing that your letter writer should see. What's in this cover letter? Basically, you're going to explain to your writer why you chose that person as your letter writer. What is the connection that you guys share that makes you feel that that person is the right person to write your letter recommendation? Okay. You're also going to put in there briefly why you're interested in applying to that summer program, that scholarship, to grad school, to medical school. So how does it fit into your career goals? Like, hey, Professor Rodriguez, I appreciate you supporting me with a strong letter recommendation. I feel that we've connected during office hours when we discussed at length my personal career goals, one day becoming a pediatrician, working in East LA, working with families to curb childhood obesity, to work with parents to improve literacy in the community, et cetera, et cetera. I'm interested in pursuing medical school at this time, or I'm interested in pursuing a summer program called SMPP. It fits with my career goals. The program is going to be shadowing opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. You can also write in this cover letter, if you feel comfortable, Professor Rodriguez, I was wondering if you could speak to my academics, or my character, or my passion to serve, or my motivation, or if you can highlight my community service. Whatever it is that, these summer programs want letters of recommendation that focus on different things specifically. For example, one of my letter writers just wrote wrote a letter of support for me, and the program, or the grant, required that they speak about how my institution is going to support me moving forward career for academic medicine. So it was a very tailored letter of support that the program or grant required. And again, you want to say, if you feel comfortable, could you emphasize in academics? Because what if your GPA isn't a 3.0 and you're applying to the program anyway, which I suggest you do, like SNDP. Professor Rodriguez, if you can speak to my academics and my, continual progression in learning subject material, test taking, etc., that in spite of me not having a 3.0, that I have excellent potential. Again, you thank them at the bottom, and you want to make sure that they know that they can contact you at any time. You want to put your phone number on there, you want to put your email address on there, Twitter account, whatever. Whatever it is that whatever's most reliable for you to get back to your letter writer. Because oftentimes, a letter writer will, let's say I'm writing a letter recommendation, and I got off of work, and I got things I got to do, and I don't have time to write your letter until 10 p.m. Well, I'm sitting there writing your letter recommendation, but oh, wait a minute, I have a question. I want to write something, but I need to clear something up with you first. Well, how am I going to get a hold of you? If I send you an email at 10:15 and you're not on the computer, well, guess what? By 10:30, my time that I've allocated to your letter recommendation is over, and I just move on. So you want to make sure that you make it clear to your letter writer that you're available at any time to answer any questions that they have about the application or about the letter. Okay? Any questions? All right. And thank them. Okay, we're doing me a huge favor. So, transcripts. So you want to print out the transcripts or grades that are required for your application, and that's a minimum. Okay, most applications for scholarships or grants or grad school or medical school, they all require transcripts. You don't need to print out your official transcripts. Unofficial transcripts are okay. If you're a freshman and it's the first semester or the first quarter, it's okay to print out your high school transcripts. Okay. But again, if you're a second year or a sophomore, it should be college transcripts only, or whatever transcripts your application requires you to submit. Now, why is this important? Now, again, this is important because what if your scholarship has a 3.0 cutoff, again, and you don't have 3.0? Well, as a letter writer, I can see your trend, or I can see where you struggle, and I'll be like, you know what? Vanessa is an amazing candidate. She worked really hard to NOCAM. She was going through X, Y, and Z. And even though she got a 2.8 and didn't meet the overall cutoff of 3.0, should be a deserving candidate. I've worked with this person. She has amazing potential. Please, don't falter for the grades that she got. Okay. Or what if you have a 3.7 and the requirements are 3.0? Well, then as a letter writer, you can say, wow, Vanessa, she's doing an amazing job. Her GPA is well above the minimum required. She's a fantastic scholar, blah, 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 blah. Again, this gives your letter writer ammunition to brag about you, okay? But if we don't see your transcripts or your trend, then it's going to be real hard for us to talk about that. So, your personal statements or program statements, okay? It is important that you provide your letter writers with as your final or as close to your final draft of your personal statements as possible. Okay. And again, these are the statements of purpose that you submit usually for research grants, or your personal statements that you submit for programs or for medical school or grad school. It's important that you give them as close to your final draft as possible, and the ones that you're using for that program. So don't give them your personal statement when you got into college. Give them the personal statement that you're writing specifically for that application. if you're a freshman in college, then it might be important for you, again, you might include your personal statement for college, okay, because that's going to tell them a different aspect of who you are, regardless. Okay. I already talked about why it's important. So now, the other page that's going to be in here is basically you want to print out a copy of the about page of the program. Okay. So if you're applying for a scholarship, print out the mission statement of the scholarship. You know, why was the scholarship created? What are the goals of the scholarship? What's the mission of the scholarship? And what are the requirements for that scholarship? Okay. You know, the requirements are 2 letters of recommendation, a 3.0 GPA, and transcripts, something like that. But you want to make sure that you give them as much information about the program as possible. You also want to print out how are they going to instructions on how they're going to submit the letter. So if it's an email to a program director, if it's an online form, if it's a link somewhere, you have to put it on there. Make it easy for them. Okay? Because let's say they finish the letter, but they don't know about that marine biology program in the Philippines. How do they know how they're going to submit it? And so again, give them as much information as possible. And the other good point about why you want to print out the about page and the mission of the program is because, again, it gives your letter writer more ammunition to talk to you about. If they read that that program is all about increasing diversity within pharmacy, or diversity within medicine, and their goal is to provide shadowing opportunities and coursework in organic chemistry and physics to prepare you for the curriculum, then your letter writer can say, wow, this program fits. My student is an ideal candidate for this program. My student fits with the kind of demographic, with the kind of amazing scholar that you're looking for, somebody who's motivated and passionate to one day pursue medicine and do great things. So again, this is all about making this process as easy as possible for your letter writing. Now, so if you have to mail your letter recommendation, please in that folder provide an envelope that's already stamped and addressed to the right place where they're supposed to send it. Okay, I know SNDP years back was requiring mailed letters of recommendation. I don't know what to do with it. But please, the last thing somebody wants to do is go to the post office for envelopes or stamps. So again, please, just if you need a mail somewhere, have it pulled out, put it in your envelope, put it in your folder. The due date. So again, you want to put this in the front under your name, and also in the inside of the folder, you can just put another little name tag and put due on this thing. Okay. And again, please, if possible, at least 1 month in advance for your letter writers. Lastly, thank them. When somebody writes a letter recommendation, they're putting their name behind you. Okay, they're supporting you. And whatever the decision, whatever happens, whether or not you're successful in getting the scholarship or accepted to grad school, or you're turned down, please update your letter writers. They want to hear back from you. Okay. Now also, here's another plug. If you think you're not competitive enough, if you think you're not smart enough, if you think you're not up to par. So this is me. This is my 7th grade state national, they're like national exams. They're national exams for the test subjects like math, reading, language, spelling. I was in the 26th percentile spelling, total reading 36th percentile. And yet, years later, in 2014, me and a team of mine from the University of Washington were able to compete in a national competition and kick butt. Right? Regardless of where you are in your road, your journey, that's just one point in your life. Okay? Always strive to reach your dreams and your goals. Ask for help and guidance, and anything is possible. And you can do medical school and live your dream, just like I'm living my dream. Questions? I hope that wasn't too fast.
Oh, good, thanks.
Be kind of fast.
I was wondering, getting letters of rec from professors you've had online. Um, I guess I've communicated with them online only, but I know that they would recognize me if I would email them. So should I email them asking for the letter of rec? Should I email them asking them to meet up and then ask them for a letter of rec?
Email them and ask them to meet up. Do it in person.
Okay.
Always do it in person.
Um,
Feel free to ask him any questions. We can use this time to do like Q&A or ask questions.
Have you guys heard this before?
not as laid out like this. It was really good. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Thank you so much for giving all of your tips.
Again, this is just the etiquette for asking for a letter, and also like things that make it easy for the letter writer, so that you can get as strong as letter as possible. And as soon as you write letters, this is something that just makes it so much easier and really allows us to really brag about it.
Specifically for a letter of rec to medical school from a professor, if they ask you, if the letter writer asks you, what do you want me to include in it? Is there any specific tips? I know you said academic character, passion, and motivation.
So those are just examples, right, of things that you can ask your letter writer. For, like if your GPA isn't that great, you say, hey, you can talk about my potential, or how I've grown, or I'm a good learner, or I'm a test taker, whatever. But it can kind of help direct your letter writing. It's the things that if they feel comfortable and getting those kind of leave it open. Um, so it really depends on what they're asking for in the letter. So for a letter writing in medical school, I think they ask for that science professor. Yeah, they need to talk about how you can master the sciences. But if they could include things about who you are as a person, how you work with others, how you're respectful, how your motivations to do well based on your, your motivation to be a physician one day, then yeah, it'd be great if they could write about that. If they know you beyond the classroom, then that's even better, right? Because now you're getting further information about the applicant. That's beyond they did well in biochemistry. Now you're getting more uh, insights as to who this person is. And again, that admissions committee only has certain information: your GPA, your transcripts, the letters of recommendation, and your personal statement. And so, anything in there that can help supplement you and your passions, we're also welcome.
Cool.
I have a quick question. My name is Adan. I know you were talking about sending your personal statement. So, what draft do you feel, from personal experience, what draft or how close of a finished personal statement did you send to your letters of recommendation?
So I'll tell you right now, you should not wait till your final draft to get this folder together. And I'll say that if you give them your final draft, perfect. Or however close to a final draft. The trap that some students get is that they'll postpone asking for the letter because they feel like they don't have the final personal statement ready. Remember, what's really important is that 1 month in advance. Okay? If you find yourself, I can't get all my stuff together because I'm not done yet, then give them what you have. Okay? You can even write my personal statement. I'm going to highlight these things. My experiences growing up, as a home worker, my experiences in emergency and blah blah. And you can tell them, I'm still not done with my personal statement. Is it okay if I send you an update in the week? but do not postpone asking them and providing them with this folder um, at the expense of saying, oh, I don't have a perfect presentation.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. I'm Paula. So if this was part of, yeah, Paula, this wasn't part of the packet, but I was wondering if it would be okay to put in our resumes in there too. So I've been out of school for a little bit too, so I would want them to touch upon work, maybe.
Yeah, so.
The computer updates the Windows 10.
So you can put in your resume if you want. Usually that would come in the supporting documents. So when that slide talks about like you're gonna submit your personal statement or whatever it is that you need to submit for that application, you want to have it as well. So some applications will say you activity like in medical school, they ask you for your activities. You also want to submit that too. Yeah, good question.
Dr. Magana?
Yeah.
This is Maria Rosales. It's really loud. I'm not sure if I can hardly hear you.
Yeah, I'm getting it kind of broken up audio.
I think it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody's speaker is on. It's not mine. Mine hasn't changed. Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, it's better, yeah. Thank you.
I thought I heard kids in the background. I was like, somebody has some chapulines running around. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely. If you have your resume, absolutely, you want to include it on there. Usually that comes with the things that are required for the application, like your personal statement, statement of purpose. Whatever is required for you to submit, you submit those things also. But I should have been more specific in my PowerPoint to say yes. Your resume is also something that's really helpful.
Thank you.
Dr. Magana?
Yeah. You just call me Juan.
Okay.
That's fine.
Oh, I'm not running.
My birth certificate doesn't say doctor on it, so you can just call me Juan.
Oh, okay. Hi, Juan. I have a question regarding letters of rec for medical school.
Yeah.
So I have been out of college for 5 years already, and I didn't take a lot of science, or actually, I only took a couple of science courses as an undergrad. So I'm debating how many, if I should get a letter of rec from my undergraduate, even though I didn't take science classes, and all of my science courses come from my post-bac program.
So that's a little funny. That's a funny question. Not that your question's funny, because that's a good question. I think I'm not too sure what the requirements are. Where I was in my school, I think it just required 2 letters of recommendation from science professors. I don't know if the application or the MCAS requires you to get them from an undergraduate institution. So you might just get 2 letters of rec from your post-bac program.
Okay.
So I can't tell you either way, because I don't know what that AANC says now or what the application specifically states. If they say 2 letters rec from science professors, then you're good. Then you can get them. You don't have to get them from your post-bac. But if they say from undergrad, then that's a different story, and that puts you in a tough position.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. How
Sure.
often do you recommend that we update our mentors? I try to update them I always say I'm going to update them like every 3 months, but I always end up like stretching it out to like 5 months, 6 months. How often do you recommend that we update them?
That's an excellent question. So I recommend that on all your emails or however you communicate with your mentor, that you put a folder specifically for mentors. You know how you can do like bills, biochemistry, like in your Gmail, you can make little inboxes or categories, I would recommend that you, one, store your emails from your mentors in a mentor folder, and two, use Google Calendar, and once a month, doesn't pick a day, doesn't matter, put in there, email mentors once a month, and I would make it a goal that once a month you send your mentors an email or a text or however just you communicate with your mentors. Just update them. But once a month would be ideal.
Thank you so much.
Again, I can't stress this enough. Put it on your calendar somewhere. It doesn't matter. Whatever it takes to remind you to do it, but do it. Once a month is not a lot. It's don't say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow turns into a year.
Yes.
So update your mentors once a month. And I would tell your mentors, hey, is it okay if I keep you updated via however you talk, once a month? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, just send me an update. And I'll tell you this also, if your mentor doesn't reply to you, don't take it personally. Sometimes, they're too busy to reply, and they're just like, oh, great, I'm glad Vanessa sent me an update. I'm happy for her. Or if they do reply and they're like, oh, that's great, keep up the good work, bye. Don't be like, oh, well, maybe they're not that interested in hearing what I have to say, or maybe I just wrote too much, not enough. Don't worry about it. Also, update them once a month prevents that long 40-page email to your mentor telling them your life story again. That's bad, because I don't think anybody wants to read a 40-page email kind of like to get an update. Like, that's a lot. And again, if they don't see that email for some reason, then there goes that whole 40-pager. But I would just ask them if they feel comfortable getting updated once a month, and then update them once a month. That's gonna make your life a lot easier when you see them in person and ask them for a letter of recommendation.
I have another quick question. How
Sure.
has your relationship changed since, or how have you developed your relationship since you got the letter of recommendation, even after medical school, and have you grown stronger with your letter writers, or how does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I still stay in contact with my letter writers from Berkeley, and I started in 03. I graduated in 07. What year are we in now? 2016. So like years later. And when you ask somebody for a letter of recommendation and you put yourself out there, and you put in your personal statement and you put in your transcripts, then that's another way for them to get to know you in different aspects. And so I asked for letters from my mentors, people that I looked up to, people that supported me, people that I felt really believed in me, and I've been lucky enough to still have them in my life, because they're remarkable people. So. I would have a mentor for a reason, and I would suggest that you do your best to keep them in your life, because you can never have too many mentors.
Thank you.
Hello, Juan.
Hey.
So you mentioned at University of Washington, they asked for 2 letters of rec from science professors. What's the usual combination for med school? The usual combination people who write your letters of rec. So, for example, community service with a science professor and I don't know, work person.
So there's no usual combination because everybody has different letter writers. But everybody has to have, I think that's the same now. Correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's going to UCLA Prime. I think it's Paola, right? Is that you? No, Paola's going to UCI. Vanessa? Either one is going to UCI? Anyways, so I think medical schools across the board require 2 letters from a science professor and 1 from a humanities professor. across the board. So your minimum going to have 3, 1 from humanities, 2 from science. That's no question. So however it is, however you arrange that, that's totally up to your discretion. If it's a physics professor that you connected with and supports you, then it's physics. If it's biochem, if it's general chemistry, if it's mathematics, if it's calculus, then there you go. But everybody has to have 2, I believe, from science and 1 from your humanities professional. The rest of the letters can come from, you know, if you so choose, from a doctor that you shadow, another mentor, your job, you know, people that you feel will benefit your stature. It cannot be from a family member, though. You cannot get a family member to write you a letter of recommendation.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks.
Oh, also, guys, when you ask me for a letter of recommendation again, if they agree to it, thank them. If they say, I'm sorry, I can't, thank them anyway because you appreciate your honesty. And I would not pre-make this folder for somebody and when they agree, and just have it ready to go when you ask them they agree. I would feel kind of weird if a student asked me for the recommendation and I agreed to it and they had this folder ready to go because they assumed that I would write them a letter of recommendation. You know, once they agree to support the letter of recommendation, then build your folder and give it to them the next day.
Do you have any other questions? Thank you so much for answering all of our questions and for holding this great webinar. And thank you for sharing your PowerPoint to the students. And if you guys have any other questions, this is the time to ask him before he goes.
All right, you guys. Well, good luck on your journey. Continue to use Mi Mentor as an awesome platform to connect with people, connect with mentors, to do outreach. Take care of yourself. Remember to eat, sleep, and exercise. That's really important. Can't stress that enough. Again, update your mentors at least once a month, and go. And again, you're right where you're supposed to be on your road to medicine or dental school or pharmacy school, wherever you want to go. You're behind nobody. Just take it at your own pace. Okay?
Yes.
And so thank you guys for letting me share some advice that I was given many years ago by awesome mentors. Yeah, good luck, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.